Hey guys, I'm scratching my head a little bit about what the officials are saying about the current situation in Santorini and, in my opinion, the Columbo volcano, but we don't hear them say anything about the Columbo volcano. The thing is, it's rumbling, guys. The earthquakes keep coming, and now we see several earthquakes above magnitude 5. So the shaking, the continuous shaking is not stopping. The residents are frightened. I've told you in my last video, they were kind of stuck on the island. They couldn't get off. There were not enough ferries. There were not enough planes. So then they did use additional planes, but residents complained we had to wait so long. Then the ticket prices went up to 100 to 300 euros. That's a lot of money. So they were stuck there for a while, and now imagine videos surfaced, rock slides. Imagine you're sitting in this beautiful scenery in your outdoor pool with these white, beautiful buildings, and then you look at the island and you feel the island is shaking all the time, and it's making a roar. It's making a sound when this island is shaking, and then you see dust coming from the hills and you see the rocks sliding down. That's a little bit apocalyptic, like in these movies when the island starts to sink into the ocean. And you know, guys, this island is not built on something very stable. This is all like tephra rock, volcanic stuff. This is a volcanic crater. And here comes the problem that I have with what authorities are saying. They're basically saying, yeah, evacuating the island, this is just a precautionary thing. I mean, they haven't declared an evacuation officially. They have declared a high alert level, but people want to get off the island by themselves. They started to wanting to get off. And why are they doing this? Because there's the fear that we could see another 7 point something earthquake again. This has happened before on Santorini. But now again, I tell you, look at the epicenter. This is not Santorini. This is somewhere else. That's an underwater volcano, Columbo. And I'll get to that in a minute, because listen to this. Officials are saying the fault line. And yes, there are fault lines, there are tectonic plates. Of course, earthquakes can always be tectonic in that region, but as clustered as they are on top of the Columbo volcano, I'm having my doubt that this is only tectonic and that there isn't any magma in play that is moving underground. But we get to this. So they're saying the fault line that's producing the current earthquakes runs for about 120 kilometers. That's 75 miles. But only the southern part between Santorini and Amorgos has been activated. Okay, could be. But then let's listen to this. While the earthquakes are intensifying on Santorini, but with the epicenters on top of the underwater volcano Columbo, this is what we have to say. It's a great problem. Smoke is coming out of cracks in the mountains, and roaring, humming sounds are heard from the whole island. And that's why the air and the ferry services are evacuating the people. Not enough tickets, I just said it. But, you know, Santorini, let's get a little bit back to the location. It's located behind the island of Rhodos, 5 hours by high-speed ferry from Turkey. And what did the Greek Prime Minister say? Prime Minister Mitsotakis. He says, we have declared the highest level of alert. We are preparing for a catastrophe that may happen. And then there's a Turkish seismologist who has weighed in on, together with what the Prime Minister says. He says, if the Santorini volcano erupts, we will say goodbye to all of us. Yes, but are we really dealing with the Santorini volcano here right now? This is, if you watch my channel, Naples, there's Campi Flegrei, the super volcano, and there's Vesuvius. And Campi Flegrei is rumbling, and sometimes a little bit Vesuvius. This would be the same thing like saying Campi Flegrei has these earthquakes form, which, by the way, it does have one at the moment again. And then the officials say, well, don't worry, these earthquakes, we don't have to be afraid that Vesuvius is going to erupt. And you're like, But wait a minute, the earthquakes are right underneath the Campi Flegrei volcano, and this is the same thing. Santorini is a volcano and Columbo is a volcano, and we see the clusters around Columbo. Well, great that you're calming me down that Santorini is not going to erupt, maybe, but another one that can send a tsunami towards the island and that can really cause harm. So, a seismologist and head of the Scientific Monitoring Committee for the Hellenic Volcanic Arc, that's this arc that has active volcanoes there, he said last week, what we must realize is that the Santorini volcano produces very large explosions every 20,000 years. It's been 3,000 years since the last explosion, so we have a very long time ahead of us before we face a big explosion. Again, what about Columbo? So yeah, they're saying the fault line that has been activated now and that's responsible for these quakes is the site of Greece's largest quake in the last century, a 7.5, some say 7.7, trembling earthquake that struck in 1956, and it was really destroying a big part of the island. And it was also producing an 80 feet, like a 25-meter high tsunami, and that has caused significant damage in the islands of Amorgos and Santorini, and it has unalived more than 50 people. And then also, Santorini is dangerous. It's also the site of one of the largest volcanic eruptions in human history, known as the Minoan eruption. It occurred around 1600 BC, and it destroyed much of the formerly round island, and that has given Santorini its current shape. It is a volcanic crater, and they're also saying that this past eruption seems to have contributed to the decline of the ancient Minoan civilization. So we know all that. So great that we do not have to face an eruption of Santorini, and I agree with them. But you know, there's a tourism industry. More than 3.5 million people come to this beautiful island every year. This island only has 20,000 inhabitants, so it's a big part of Greece's tourism income. So you don't want to scare these tourists away if they think that they're facing some danger. I mean, they already think that, because that earthquake that struck magnitude 7.5, 7.7 has destroyed more than a third of the buildings of the island. So you don't want to be there as a tourist. Definitely not. It's scary enough already. But a volcanic eruption, that's another thing. So, and they're admitting that it's unusual that even for tectonic events, that this earthquake swarm is lasting so long, and that it's so intensely clustered, and that it's showing these high magnitudes, because usually we have a high magnitude earthquake and then we have the swarm of aftershocks, but now it's pre-shocks. Usually the volcanoes have these pre-shocks. And again, I'm quoting the Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis. He was in Brussels. He was attending a European meeting, and he said there, we have a very intense geological phenomenon to handle. So also that tells me it's not that easy. It's not as easy as they make it seem. Oh, it's just tectonic, it's that fault line. Don't worry. He further said, I want to ask our islanders first and foremost to remain calm, to listen to the instructions of the civil protection. And what's happening right now with the residents, remaining calm is a little bit difficult if your cell phone is beeping all the time with alert messages about the potential for like rock slides, more earthquakes. You hear these loud rumbles, you hear the whole island rumbling. This is really scary. And then authorities have already banned the access to some seaside areas, including the island's old port. They're in close proximity to the cliffs, so there might be some major landslides, but it looks scary enough already. They're still saying all these measures are precautionaries and authorities will remain vigilant. So as we speak, just another earthquake, 4.8, and you see the list here with the live earthquakes. It keeps coming, it keeps coming, it keeps coming. So Columbo, in the past 7 days, the Columbo volcano has had 975 earthquakes with magnitudes up to 5.1. 3 quakes total at the moment above 5, but 53 quakes between magnitude 4 and 5, and in the high 4 magnitudes, 4.8, 4.9, 331 quakes between magnitude 3 and 4. That's a lot in the high ranges for a volcano, and 490 quakes between magnitude 2 and 3 also, and then 98 quakes below magnitude 2. But probably while I'm reading these numbers to you, it's probably already way higher. For the ones that are new here on my channel, in order for you to understand why I'm writing on Columbo so much, I have released already last year in December videos about Columbo, that they found a surprise magma chamber. They used a new technique with wavelengths creating artificial earthquakes, and they found a magma chamber that is very shallow, between 2 and 4 kilometers underneath the seafloor, and it's filling up with magma, and it's rapidly filling up, and it's a large one. And that's why this is so concerning, that we're seeing these earthquakes there. And check out my playlist about Greek volcanoes. There's everything you need to know about this monstrosity, Columbo. And there's more videos about Santorini and how this all works together. I don't want to repeat it all here in every video, but just for the ones that are new, for the ones that this is the first video that you watch of me, right? Columbo is an active submarine volcano also in the Aegean Sea, just 4 miles away from Santorini. That's 7 kilometers. So Columbo is about 3 kilometers in diameter, with a crater that's about 1.5 kilometers across. And there was an eruption of Columbo that was a little bit documented in 1650. There was an accumulating cone, and it has reached the surface. So that has then sent pyroclastic flows across the sea surface to the shores and slopes of Santorini, where about over 70 people at that time were lost, and also many animals were lost. And then the volcano collapsed in its caldera, and it has triggered a tsunami that caused damage on many nearby islands up to 150 kilometers, about 100 miles away from Columbo. And it's not visible now, but the highest parts of the Columbo crater are now only about 10 meters below sea level, like 30 feet. So this new magma chamber is gradually filling up with new magma. It does pose a threat that this volcano could erupt. And we always know magma chambers that are filling up together with earthquakes, never good. So guys, as we speak, the rumbling continues. I will keep you updated about this. Check out my other videos about the current situation. There's so much more information. I'm just trying to give you a little bit in addition on top of with every other video that I release, because the situation is so urgent right now. The people are really frightened right now about this whole island and the rumbling that it produces. If you're new here, please subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, guys, the link is in the description. Support me on my buymeacoffee.com/silky site. Follow me there for free, and you can buy us a coffee or two. I say us because right now it goes towards my dog's Apollo's vet bills and to my farm, to my animals, so that I'm buying hay from that. So thanks for your help. You're really helping me greatly with that. It's really appreciated. And all the supers you're sending me here on YouTube. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll work hard so that I can release another video to you shortly. Probably about this area again, but there's other areas that are shaking like crazy. We're waiting for Iceland. Campi Flegrei had just another swarm. So there's lots to tell, guys. Stay tuned and stay safe. And for my night owls, I hope you enjoyed this video. Sleep well. I see you soon. Bye-bye.